Guys, how are you?
EIU head coach Chris Wilkerson. The Panthers started the season on a big win, shut out Indiana State last Thursday night. This week they're going to step up a level, play FBS foe Bowling Green. That's at 1 Central ESPN Plus. Coach, just some thoughts on your team, and we'll go to some questions.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. Certainly excited and pleased with their effort on Thursday in the opener. There was a lot of question marks certainly surrounding our program and certain positions, but the guys responded very well. Their effort, their attitude, their enthusiasm was pretty good start to finish. We avoided some of the first game pitfalls that we talked about, all preseason camp with procedural issues and substitution issues. And so it was pretty clean that way. There's still a ton of things that we need to clean up as we move forward. And certainly, we've talked to them every year about the biggest improvement for a team comes from week 1 to week 2. And programmatically, we want to make a big jump this year from year 1 to year 2. And so there are a lot of things to clean up. And I'm really excited about the opportunity to compete against a very talented Bowling Green football team from the Mid-American Conference on Saturday.
Perfect. Thanks, Coach. We'll go with questions. Dan, you're the only one right now, so go ahead and feel free to ask as many as you got.
Yeah, I want to touch on your special teams. Obviously, with the injuries, you've had to readjust things. I assume Will's going to be handling kicking duties.
Yeah, so Will Orth is our backup place kicker, and right now he would be our kicker. We've done some creative things this week to make sure that we do have a backup kicker in place. There was a guy that had been on our roster who still has a year of eligibility left, who's actually a graduate assistant in the men's soccer program, who's come back out. And then we had a first year that walked on right when school started. And so he's been out there as well. So expect Daniel Luoma to handle our kickoffs like he did last week. And Will would be our starting place kicker going into this Saturday.
What about your holder and long snapper?
Yeah. So, interestingly enough, the battery kind of got banged up last week. And so Jack Valente did have a hamstring issue. It remains to be seen whether he'll play on Saturday or not. But if not, I know Brett Galletti is someone who's done a phenomenal job for us as a backup snapper. We're very fortunate that way. Very quality from Lincoln Way East High School, very good at his skill. And then our holder, certainly Jacob Horvath was able to hold after Cooper was injured. As a wide receiver and our holder and our punt returner. And so also Eli Mirza is a guy that is our backup holder. So we've got some guys that can hold. We've got some guys that can snap. Jesse Garza is one of the guys that we signed at mid-year as a linebacker, has provided some depth and been a phenomenal attitude with our program. But he also has done some snapping for us this week. So we've got some guys prepared if their number's called.
Switching gears a little bit here, Barry's going to be talking to Trey John later today. He's going to do a little Q&A with him, and just I'd like to get your thoughts on Trey John's skill set, what he provides for the defense, and then a little bit about his personality.
Yeah, so you're talking about Trajan Lewis, certainly one of the best people I've ever had a chance to coach in my 29 years of doing this. Trajan come to us from Texas Tech University, where he transferred to EIU. Right when I got here in the winter. And so he had come here with the idea that he was going to play for one coach, and all of a sudden there was a change very quickly. He has been awesome from the very first time that I met him, just upbeat, authentic, genuine, caring, and a heck of a football player. He's one of our team captains. Elijah Tolbert was fortunate enough to receive some individual accolades this week from the Big South OVC and certainly at the national level. And ET is one of the first guys in the building that says, hey, I can't do my job if the guys in front of me don't do their job. And Colby Smith and Trajan Lewis in the middle up front for us on defense were phenomenal on Thursday night. And Trajan he's absolutely probably one of the pillars of our program. We say things start inside out, front to back. And, he's one of those guys that is absolutely a rock for us. Gives us a physical presence, can rush the passer, twitchy, can move with some of the stunt stuff. And I'll tell you what you want to know about his personality. Trajan is one of 13 as far as siblings go. So he's got 12 siblings. He's one of a total of 13. So he's had to bite and scratch and claw like a lot of guys in our program have for everything that he's gotten. But he's a heck of a young man and a very, very good football player.
So if he's first in line at the training table, now we know why.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, you kind of led me into where I was going next. You know, you're a former defensive lineman, and, you know, it seems like the linebackers get all the accolades because they're the ones that usually clean up on the tackles. But the defensive line really is the building block of that, as you just alluded to.
Yeah, there's no question. I believe philosophically that your success, you build your football teams inside out, front to back. So if you're strong on the line of scrimmage, up the middle on both sides, you've got a chance. Yes, you've got to have great skill on the perimeter, and you got to have a guy that can pull the trigger, and you got to have guys that can cover, and you got to have guys that run and tackle. But there is no question in my mind. It starts, you know, with the pillars on defense as your defensive tackles, and then certainly your centers and guards up front on offense. So, you know, those guys have been big for us so far. They know they're going to have their hands full this week. Bowling Green provides a very, very physical presence on offense. They run a ton of different gap schemes. Love to run the counter play 7 different ways. You know, that blocking scheme, love to run the gap scheme or the power play as well. And they'll still sprinkle in some slice zone in there as well. So they provide a physical presence, and you know, our guys know they're going to have their hands full, but we're looking forward to the challenge on Saturday.
Kyle, I'm going to turn over to you if you've got anything, or Coach, if you want to say anything more.
Well, I also wanted to ask you a little bit more about Bowling Green, Coach, and just you talked about from week 1 to week 2. They obviously they played a game with Liberty and they were close. And so, what do you think the other things they do besides the physicality that maybe you'll see an improvement from what they did this past week?
Yeah. So again, they played a very talented Liberty team on the road, and credit to them. They were down 24-0, and they came back to make it 24-17 and ended up losing 34-24. But I'll tell you what, they ran the football very, very efficiently. They have 4 big, talented backs. Their offensive line does a really good job. They're very well coached. You know, the head coach Coach Leffler does a phenomenal job in the passing game. They get you sucked up in there, and then they're going to take their shots, and they've got some great skill on the perimeter as well. So the biggest problem that they had on Saturday when they played at Liberty was the turnovers. And so the interceptions certainly didn't give them a chance to finish some drives. You know, a couple of times the quarterback was under duress. They had a couple guys injured up front on the offensive line. But on defense, they were very physical, very active. You know, they move in and out of 3-down and 4-down spacing. They're not afraid to contest you on the perimeter and get up in your face and play some man-to-man where they're long and athletic, but big, twitchy, and physical in the front 6 on defense. So, hey, we got our hands full, and we're looking forward to the challenge, you know, of going on the road. I know last week the FCS schools were 0-42 against FBS schools. And our guys understand that, hey, every time we take the field, we've got something to prove. And it's about earning respect and playing with a chip on our shoulder. So we're just looking forward to the opportunity this week at 2:00.
That's all I had. Dan, anything else?
No, I'm set too. I appreciate both of your times.
Well,
Coach,
thank you guys so much.
Best of luck on Saturday, and we'll talk to you again next Tuesday.
Appreciate it. Go Panthers.